Hello, I am Deepak and I'm going to sing a couple songs from 1966 mega hit movie Teesri Manzil, starring Shammi Kapoor and Asha Parekh. Also in the supporting role were Prem Nath and Prem Chopra. So, in this movie, what happens is that there is a young woman named Rupa, and she is in love with a man who is a drummer in a band called Rocky's Band in Dehradun at a park hotel. So they entertain guests. He plays drums, sings, and there is a beautiful woman, Ruby, that is Helen, dances. Now, this Rupa lady, played the actress is Sabina, she is actually engaged to Ramesh, that is Prem Chopra. But she pursues this handsome young man, Rocky, that is Shammi Kapoor, and he tells her not to do that. So also Ruby also pursues him and he tells her as well, look, I'm not interested in you two ladies, but they still are in love with him. So now what happens is, uh, so now a woman, that is this Rupa, observes a man killing his wife, and he is with another woman, and they are burying the dead wife. And Rupa observes it, and this man notices it, so he follows her to the hotel where she lives, and because she works there. So on the way, she calls from a phone booth to Rocky, saying that, look, I need to talk to you immediately, but he does not want to do anything with her. And this conversation is overheard by Ruby at the telephone switch desk. So when Rupa goes to Shammi Kapoor's room, he does not open. Then, after a few minutes, he hears a big bang and sees that Rupa has committed suicide. She jumped over from the balcony to her death. And he is shocked and feels very sorry. And then what happens is that before Rupa dies, she had written a letter to her sister Sunita, that is Asha Parekh. The younger sister is Asha Parekh. That, look, I am in deep love with this Rocky guy. He's a band master and a drummer, and I want to get married to him. So when Sunita comes to know her sister has died, she thinks that she died because Rocky took advantage of her, had sex with her, and then discarded her, so she committed suicide. So she's coming to Dehradun from Delhi to confront this guy. In the train on the way, she meets a handsome young man. He calls himself as Anil and starts flirting with her. He's very good looking and he's actually Shammi Kapoor or Rocky, but he calls himself as Anil. Soon they fall in love, and then Anil does not want to tell her that who he is, and he tells her that, look, I am the nephew of a very rich guy in the town who lives in a big mansion. In the meantime, he comes to know that why Sunita has come to Dehradun and she hates Rocky. So he's afraid to tell her anything about him. So he takes her to the mansion and has a party, and he almost gets caught. But the owner, Kanwar Saab, that is played by Premnath, he says, oh, no, no, he's my nephew. And he accepts him and all that. So Kunwar Saab and Rocky become good friends. He tells Kunwar Saab that, look, you tell Sunita the truth, but he does not. So they make arrangement for Rocky to get married to Sunita. Actually, it's Anil. So finally Anil writes a letter to her saying that, look, I am sorry for your sister's death. I am Rocky, and I did not love your sister, but she was after me even though she was engaged. So now Sunita is very mad at Rocky and breaks off her engagement with her. Also, Anil tells the police officer Iftikhar that, look, Ramesh was engaged to Rupa and he actually threatened to kill her if she continues to follow Rocky. So he thinks that either Ramesh killed her or Ruby killed her because she was also jealous of Rupa. And so he tells all this to the cop. So now cop also gives him some information. And he actually confronts Ruby. And before Ruby could say anything, a man who was hiding in the room shoots Ruby dead. Then the police officer gives him a button that was pulled out from an expensive jacket. And they think that it was found in Rupa's hand. So they think that expensive jacket with a torn button belongs to the killer. And they want to find out who the killer is. So now Rocky is sitting in his room and suddenly a woman tells him that, look, take my car and go down to this hotel down the cliff, down the road. There you will find the killer. So he does that and realizes that the brakes in the car are removed. So he drops out of the running car, gets hurt, and the car goes over the cliff and bursts into flame. So now they think that Rocky is dead. So Rocky then sees that mystery woman going into a car, and he follows her, and she enters that big mansion of his uncle. So he's surprised. So he follows, and uncle sees him, and he's surprised to see him because uncle thought he was dead. So he tells Rocky that, Rocky, your life is in danger. You go in this room and hide till I make some arrangement. So Rocky goes in a dark room, and uncle locks the door from outside. Then after he's looking around in the house to escape, and he opens a cupboard and finds that expensive jacket with missing button, and he then realizes that this Kanwar Saab is the killer of all those women. And then suddenly the door opens, and that woman, mystery woman, has come in with a gun to shoot him, but he overpowers her. And then she confesses that, yes, look, I am a woman with 3 children and I am his mistress, and he killed all these women and I was forced to sort of help, So she would go and give the testimony. Then the door opens again and Kunwar Saab enters and shoots, and that woman dies. And he and Rocky struggle. So Kunwar Saab suddenly topples over the edge of a balcony on the 3rd floor of the mansion. And Rocky tells him to hold on to his hand and tell that you please confess to police what you did. And Kunwar Saab says no, and he releases the hand and falls to his death. So then Sunita and Rocky, they unite and they go to Delhi in the same train that they met initially. So that's the movie. And beautiful songs in this movie. So beautiful music was given by R.D. Burman. This was his first major successful movie. And then followed number of about over 100 great movies with great songs. So let's listen to this song by Mohammed Rafi, Deewana Mujhsa Nahin, in which the Shammi Kapoor sings this song. He knows that Asha Parekh and they are in love, but he knows the intention of Asha Parekh is to find out who Rocky is. So he sings this song to her, Deewana Mujhsa Nahin. Beautiful song by Rafi. So let's listen. दीवाना मुझसा नहीं इस अंबर के नीचे प्यार के काबिल, तब से ये आलम है, रास्ता याद न मंजिल। नींद में जैसे चलता है कोई, चलना यूं ही आंखें मीचे। दीवाना मुझसा नहीं इस अंबर के नीचे, आगे है कातिल मेरा और मैं पीछे पीछे। हमने भी रख दी है कल पे कल की बातें, जीवन का हासिल है पल दो पल की बातें। दो ही घड़ी तो साथ रहेगा, करना क्या है तन्हा जी के। दीवाना मुझसा नहीं इस अंबर के नीचे, आगे है कातिल मेरा और मैं पीछे पीछे। दीवाना मुझसा नहीं इस अंबर के नीचे। Thank you very much for listening.